I got the white theme.
You got the white. I've got like brown. I got all these browns going today. Well, good morning, Stefan.
Good morning, Jamie.
It is another unconstrained conversation.
It is another unconstrained conversation. It's another unconstrained day. We can take it wherever we want.
I love walking into these conversations. I was just thinking about it again this morning. I like having absolutely no plan, no agenda, and just see what unfolds. But there is something happening today. It is your birthday. So happy birthday.
Thank you. It is my birthday. Born in 1961, and I'm 61 years old.
What are the odds?
Well,
no, that's great.
Probably one in however many years I'm going to live.
That's right. Well, happy birthday. I hope that it is an unconstrained birthday.
It is. It is very. It's much different than the year prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good, I think.
Yes, a year prior, I was stepping into what would eventually become my divorce process.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be having an awesome 60th birthday celebration.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
But this year?
Well, this year, because of all of that, and because of my giving myself the freedom to think about what I wanted and who I want to be and what I want in my future, what I would like in my future, it's been much more joyful, more freeing, more gracious, more grateful. And and here we are on the Unconstrained podcast talking about things that are important.
Yeah.
To me,
to me
you.
Too. Yeah. At least to us.
Really, just the few things that I care about.
Yeah.
Which are how am I in this world, and who am I in this world?
And what am I putting out there? I
Yes.
think about, I don't know, a lot, like what kind of energy am I transmitting today?
Well, what do I want to create? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to create?
Well, the things that I have been enjoying lately are being in joy with other people. So whether that's sailing, whether that's it's catalyzing other people's development so that they're enjoying their lives.
Yeah.
So even if it's having people over for dinner, knowing that it's going to be just a great experience for everyone. Everyone is going to love it. Everyone is going to have the best spaghetti they've ever had.
Yeah.
And the best wine with the best spaghetti they've ever had, and the best conversation they've ever had, and the most loving glances from their dinner mates.
I think that's a beautiful experience to design, I like that.
Well, it's like, it's what you've spoken about at length and before, designing our lives.
Yeah.
And I had this, it is really about the little details of how we enjoy our day or how we view our day.
I agree. Like I find, and I don't mean to cut you off right in the middle of maybe a bigger sentence there, but the little things are really the catalyst for like everything. Like and making shifts and making changes. For me, my experience in doing that has always been to break things down to the smallest possible amount so that I can chip away little by little by little by little. And yeah, so small to me is everything. Little to me is everything.
Yeah, it's for me, even like when I jump into bed, I'm like, oh man, I love this bed. I'm so glad I bought this bed. This is such a comfy, right? I spent a lot of money on it a long
Yeah.
time ago and I got exactly what I wanted to get. And it's still such a good bed.
You know what's so funny? Ken changed out our shower head in our bathroom. He
Yeah.
changed the shower head out, and seriously, every time I take a shower, I'm like, this shower head is amazing. Like, how did we go so long without this amazing shower head? It seems like
Exactly.
such a little thing, but it's those little things that bring like this delight into a moment that could be otherwise mundane. I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep. I'm taking a shower.
Well,
Coffee, the flavor of coffee. I mean,
yeah.
it is magical. I mean, I think our ability to design those moments, right? And the mindfulness that we put into crafting those experiences for our, like, thinking about future Jamie or future Stefan or whatever, like, you think about, yeah, what is so pleasant that I want to repeat over and over and over again, and until I don't, or who, whatever. You don't have to think that far ahead, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And what you're talking about is not a material experience. It may be triggered
Right.
by a material thing or a material experience, but the design of the let's say the emotional framework that you choose to apply
Yeah.
to that experience in the shower or jumping into bed, or like I installed this big giant water filter under the sink so that all the water coming out of my cold water tap is always filtered. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I'm washing my hands in filtered water.
And it's those things, and it's like it creates a mental peace and a mental joy that I think that is exactly like what the foundation of this conversation tends to be, is very much like, how do you create more of that in your life? And because there is an unlimited amount of it out there for the taking, it's a
Yes.
matter of mindfully, like, seeing it and experiencing it, the awareness of it, drawing it in, and then how do you, like, craft it in your own life. And I love stuff like that. I really do. I think the emotional experience of a great shower or a great night's sleep, like, that's everything.
Yeah, and people would say that that's I mean that's trivial, right? Or it is mundane. But all we have is this. We are all the same, right?
Yeah.
We are all living on a planet, breathing the same air. We all have to poop, we all have to pee, we all have to eat.
Right.
And those mundane parts of life. But if we keep going down on this granular level, we end up with the flatworm, right? That can you can chop into 200 pieces and it will replicate. And we're part of that system. We are part of this amazing creative system, and we have mental freedom to create anything we want out of it, and to have an emotional experience about it that is beneficial in ways that we can't even understand or explain.
Yeah.
Beneficial to the extent that people heal from cancer because they change their emotional state. Beneficial in ways that we solve world problems because people join together emotionally around a common goal, right? It's that emotion is the nuclear energy that powers everything we do. So if I can fire up that emotional system by being happy about going to bed and knowing that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be rested, or my I mean, clean water is an incredible luxury. Ask
Yeah.
anybody in Flint, Michigan,
Yeah.
right? Ask anybody in sub-Saharan Africa. Ask anybody on a part of the planet that is compromised environmentally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so all of these all of these things are not to be taken for granted, even especially as we become more and more wealthy in our lives, because the wealth, it doesn't lead to that. I mean, it can, depending on how you choose to view your experience and spend your resource and your creative energy.
And your perspective on what wealth truly is too, because I tend to look at it, I guess, more holistically, that it's beyond a financial foundation, I guess. And, like, yeah, I guess that's my
Yes.
perspective of that word and what it means to me is definitely beyond the financial realm, but there's an element of it there for sure
Yeah.
that creates freedom.
Well, I mean, this morning, I was glad I had a little more time this morning because it's um because it's my birthday, right? I get a lot of messages,
Yeah.
but my office, my crew in Bogota, they're up early, right? They're right now they're 2 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so the birthday messages are all coming in.
Oh.
It's like, we love you, you're the best. We have this inside joke that I put on them a couple of years ago, where I would just go, and just remember, you guys, you're the best, right? And then
Oh.
we do the whole, no, how can I be the best when you're the best, right?
Yeah.
And so we go through that whole, no, 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 you're the
You're the
best.
best.
So we go through
Oh,
that whole thing. So that's now a thing, but everybody jumps on board.
love it.
Now it's a company thing.
That's
And
so cool.
it's a way of sharing love and positive sentiment with each other that's now sanctioned at the highest level of executive privilege in the company.
That's
Right?
really cool.
Right? Like
Oh man.
everybody is on that bandwagon. So I was really feeling the love this
Oh,
morning,
I
because
love that.
everybody's more free to express it, at
Yeah.
least with regards to interacting with me, because I'm not. And even the youngest people in the company call me Steph. They don't, and that's also another neat thing about in Colombian culture. Almost everybody gets a nickname right away.
That's really cool.
And in our company, we have a number of Felipes, and we have had a number of Alejandras, and we have some Julians. So we have Juli M and Juli G and Ale B. And so there's all of these. So it's very friendly and lighthearted and not corporate. And that's
Yeah.
particular to our company culture. But
That's yeah.
it's also very, very uh, loving. It's
You and I had a conversation. I don't know if you'll remember this. You and I had a conversation several years ago, and you used the term the ecology of you. And I love that term. It stuck with me. It's another one of those things that kind of stuck with me. And I think about that a lot, like the ecology of me. And this for each individual person, there's an ecology that surrounds you and that you bring to the environment you participate in. And I keep thinking about that with my upcoming work project or work load. my
mm-hmm.
my next thing that it will start on the 19th, which I'll share with you a little bit more later. But like, I think about that a lot in what will I bring, and the only kinds of places I'm even interested in participating in or with are places where I feel like I'm gonna fit in some capacity, like, but I'll bring something different, yet there's a fit, right? And hopefully I'll gain something that I don't have as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of that Venn diagram, right? What I have and what they have and where it overlaps, and hopefully that overlap actually, if it's good and positive as it seems it will be, that little crossover becomes more ingrained. But that ecology, right, of what we bring and what we contribute to, and what I don't know. I love thinking about those sorts of things. And then also back to the term of designing your life, designing, like really mindfully choosing the pieces that are a part of your ecology.
Hmm.
I love that sort of exercise, or the practice even, of doing that.
Yeah, well, the objects or the material things we bring into our life are the landscape in which we exercise our spirit, and that's what creates the ecology, right? We exercise our spirit in the landscape that we create or choose, and we create the climate, right? We power the emotional climate in our
Yeah,
little landscape. And so
it's
it's like,
true.
oh, there's that comfy bed that I have. Ooh, there's
Our
that
own
tea kettle that I really like.
our
Ooh,
own
there's that
personal
sofa.
photosynthesis. Yeah.
There's that sofa I really like to nap on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's such a funny thing specific to like kind of worldly material things. I have a couch that I've had since 1995. That's my couch. It is, it's we talk about and think about sometimes getting another couch that's more practical, that holds more than three people.
Hmm.
I'm staring at this couch over there now. I have such a love for it though. It's like super comfortable. It's been through everything since 1995. And yeah, I don't know. I love that little couch. But yeah, bringing in a new piece is a big deal for me, because it's a
Yeah,
different, it brings the different
because
energy and a different vibe. And
yeah, you're going to have it for a long time too.
yeah, I really hope so. That's the idea when you get a piece of furniture. I think mostly.
Well, then the I guess the challenge would be, if this is a beloved, pardon me, if this is a beloved couch, um, what would be an even more beloved couch?
Yeah, that's such a
I
great question.
I have, because I have a couch here that's I've had at least 10 years, and it was in my previous place, and now it's in this place, and I went through great lengths to try to figure out how to fit it in the room because it's pretty big. It's a
Yeah.
sectional, and I I even hesitate to get rid of it. I mean, I hesitate to get rid of it or change it. One, right now, because I don't necessarily need to, because I've fit it into my smaller place. But two, other people are attached to the couch.
Yeah,
Like
it's interesting.
people who have stayed with me over the years, especially Greg, when he's come up from Bogota, he's like, I love that couch, man. I just come over to your place and I crash on like there. I can't tell you how many times he's been a vagabundo just traveling and then shows up. I mean, it's not unannounced, but he shows up and then all of a sudden, we're doing something for a few days, but invariably there's always going to be a moment where he's on that couch and he just crashes out.
Oh. And a
He's
friend,
just asleep on the couch.
a friend of mine growing up, I used to spend the night at her house all the time, and they had this recliner that was kind of that for, I know not only me, but they had this recliner that, and her mom would always be like, how can you sleep in this thing? But it was so comfortable. It was like a little hug, like sleeping in a hug. And
Mm-hmm.
I loved that recliner. I wonder whatever happened to it. Oh man.
We should do a separate podcast called Little Things That We Love.
Seriously, the little, I feel like Ken would be such a great contributor to that. Ken is one of those guys that I feel like he's been on that, when he gifts something like to his parents or his sister, he's very much about it being something that he loves, that has brought him joy, in his life and he wants to share it with people. So
Mhm.
that's very much how like his method of gifting, is something like that, a life improving thing in some way. And I love that. I mean, it's just like the shower head, right? Like, I don't know, man, stuff like that. He would be a great participant in that realm.
Yeah.
I feel like he's really good at finding things that I would never have found. Um,
Yeah. I really needed that nose hair trimmer.
one
I
of
had
those
somebody,
things.
I had somebody, no, I had somebody give me a nose hair trimmer and then some 1-a-day vitamins for old men.
That's great. The senior geriatric vitamins
Yeah,
and the
and the
geriatric
great
vitamin.
thing is he's a spine surgeon, he's a doctor, so
It's like,
he gives me the vitamins and the I don't no, the nose hair trimmer might have been, I can't remember if that was all in the same. Anyway, they were punking me.
oh, that's great though. I love that. Sense of humor is important. It's another one of those things that maybe not so little with sense of humor. It's not such a little thing.
No.
Being able to laugh at things and
Yeah,
um,
because once things are things, the when we're laughing at things, they've happened.
yeah,
So that's the moment we decide what they mean.
exactly. That's actually, I don't know, not to take it in a totally different direction, but that's a conversation that I have with Zia quite a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
How you choose to process information, um, things that come at you that may feel hurtful, which I'm actually experiencing a little. Somebody said something to me that initially, like when it first came out of her mouth, I just kind of went, oh, okay, well, not everybody gets along or whatever. And then the more I processed it, like I was kind of like, that's really a hurtful thing to say. Like, well, I wonder why, if like what the benefit of saying something that you have to know when it's coming out of your mouth is a hurtful thing. So like in a lot of ways, I feel like it was a deliberate thing. And I kind of keep pondering, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, maybe I'm just processing it that way. How do I want to process it? What does this cause me to do in reaction? Does it? How do I want to react in reaction?
Well,
Do I
the
need
thing
to react?
is, yeah, I mean, 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Well, I
It
mean,
ha-
this,
it has everything to do with that person
yeah.
trying to set a boundary and exercising whatever latent anger or frustration they have. And you just happen to activate a certain framework in
Yeah.
them. You just happen to step into a framework where you became a role player on a framework that they have been repeating their entire lives. Because if they knew that they consciously were hurting people left and right, most people would decide that they don't want to do that.
That's a really fascinating, I don't know, concept or idea. And I do wonder that, like, is it, we talked about, we'll go back several episodes. I mentioned that I frequent the company of someone who's fairly negative. And like I think we discussed along the way, it's not really your job to like have to, try to inspire them to be different, anything other than they are. and
No.
and I think I've come to accept that idea, that it's not my job to try to shift their energy or anything else. All I can do is be me and put out what I hopefully, I'm not hurting people and I'm hopefully not causing pain, that I mindfully try not to do those things. But this person who I was just really feeling like they bring a lot of negativity, and yet I don't know if they even realize that they do or that they are. And then I was like, well, is it my responsibility to say so? Like, this is why I don't want to be around you anymore, because you are one of the most negative people I've ever like experienced, like truly. And like, but you can't say it like that, like,
No,
I mean,
and you don't need to remedy the situation.
And that's the thing though, right? Is it remedying the situation is simply removing myself from it, but then that person
Yes.
continues doing their
Yeah,
little thing.
but the thing is by being around that person, you're endorsing it by default.
I think that that's kind of what I came to terms with the
Be-
conversation that happened on Saturday morning was with this person. And it was just kind of like a jarring, after I processed it a little bit, I kind of went, this is the universe telling me it's time to separate, to part ways with this person. Like that's what I processed it as.
yeah.
And so I haven't hung out with this person
Yeah.
since that
What I
moment.
yeah, the what I find is that I have those moments where it's like I don't want to be around that person, but what's the alternative, right? Do I have a better alternative?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that makes it easy,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, instead, I'll hang out with this person who is fairly new or somebody that I've known forever, but I really like to see more of.
Yeah.
And I like to spend time with that person, right? Instead of this kind of convenient, because if we're not enjoying our time with somebody, there's a whole lot of illegitimate currency being exchanged.
That is a huge piece of it, Stefan. Like I think that hits the nail on the head in a lot of ways. And what I was realizing is that I have been modifying what might be a normal flow for my day to accommodate a meet point for this person
Yeah.
who's flexible. It's not like they're inflexible, on, oh, whatever works for you works for me. You're the one with the schedule. You're the one that's busy. I'm like, oh, I'm like, no, I'm not. But anyway, like those are comments that have happened a lot. And like, I think that's been an effort for me to try to uh, shift things. Interestingly, some things have come up that have caused me to need to shift my schedule. And
Yeah.
it works out perfectly in, like, I really, Sophia got a job.
Yeah.
Sophia got a job and she had an 8 a.m. shift this morning. So I had some stuff I needed to do before giving her a ride to her job. And yeah, I'm so excited that she's got that experience, that she's a baker in a gourmet cookie shop.
Oh, wow. Well, that'll be great. That'll teach her how to work.
Yeah, that's what, like, I really think already this is her third shift
Yeah.
ever. And she's still, like, she did Friday, Saturday last week. And seriously, when I went to go pick her up, Stefan, a little bit of a derail. I went to pick her up at, I think it was, what was it, like 7 p.m. And she got out a half an hour late, but the line at this place was out the door. I got there at 6:30 and we ended up leaving at 7:30. The line
Yeah.
never stopped being this constant out the door, like,
Wow.
line. I was like, I had no idea so many people liked cookies. Like, no idea.
Well, once something's a fad, right? Once
Yeah,
something,
it blew my
like
mind.
Momofuku or place,
Yeah,
right?
been there. That's good.
Here, yeah, exactly. He knows, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, yeah, for
Like
sure.
here, the latest fad is where kids are standing around the block to get in. Is it Hokkaido soft serve?
Oh
It's a
wow.
Japan it's a
Yeah.
Japanese soft serve, and the milk is it's imported from Japan. The milk is imported from Japan, which the dairy farmers of America do not want that happening.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
somehow the restaurant owner set this up as a little window as a side hustle in his restaurant because he grew up in Japan and this was his favorite thing.
Yeah.
And it is just, there's no vanilla in it, there's nothing, it's just soft serve ice cream,
Yeah.
and the only thing that it's sweetened with is condensed milk, which is also
Oh,
from Hokkaido. So what you're
it's
getting is
delicious.
this super creamy, super rich ice cream.
Yum.
I'm selling it, but I haven't even tasted it. That's how popular this shit is.
Oh man. Yeah, well that's
but
yeah. That's
but Terry, my friends Terry and Christy, their daughter Emma works there, and the line is around the block, and it's just right. It's become a fad, and so then everybody has to try it. Everybody
so
has to get
wild.
in on it, and I think it is I think what makes what these things that, well, at least these positive fads, is like one person finds joy
Yeah.
in it and then expresses that, and then other people see that, and then other people see that,
And want to
and
experience it.
right,
Yeah.
we're all hoping for that little moment of joy where it's like, oh, I had Hokkaido soft serve.
And it
But
was
the
amazing.
right, but the trick is to sustain that for
Yeah.
every little thing, just like we've been talking about. The every time we get in that shower, how amazing is that? Every
It is
time
every
there's
time.
running, I live stories and stories and stories above the pavement here in Seattle, and the water still comes down on me. Right, it's still like I
Yeah.
can, like, it gets pumped up to the top of the building, and through a series of pumps and valves and special things, it comes out of the
It's
faucet.
and it's an amazing experience. Well, and that's what we're, with the people we surround ourselves with, one of the challenges. So, kind of going back to that, one of the challenges is like with this person in particular, like, I don't want to hurt this person, right? Like, this person's not a bad person. She's
They're
actually a
already,
wonderful person with a
yeah,
lot of wonderful attributes, but they're so overridden by this negativity, this constant
yeah.
dwelling in this negative space, that I don't know that person can see that's what's just absolutely oozing out.
Well, you either go into that situation and bring the strength of your full strength of your ecology with you, and for the short time you're together with that person, you exert your ecology and see if it has an effect
Which I've
without.
been experimenting with for the
Yeah,
duration of this podcast.
yeah,
Has been an ongoing experiment, and I think I met my breaking point on Saturday with the
yeah.
conversation.
Well, and then the only question is what would I rather be doing with my time, and
Yeah.
what would be better? And apparently it's almost anything.
It really, like, today, leading up to like the moment we're in right now, this day has been phenomenal. I mean, like, I woke up at 4:25, made sure Zia was up because she has her five whatever bus, we leave the house at 5:25 to take her to her
Wow.
bus.
That
So
is that is
while
unbelievable.
I wake her up, I did my workout in the living room here, and then drive her 5:25. Her bus comes and gets her. I come back. Now, this is normally where I would go walk Ernie and so on and so forth. But instead, I decided to invite Ken to go walk. There's just a couple miles from our house is a state park called Floyd Lamb, and it's just beautiful. I mean, there's these giant ponds and lots of geese and trees and grass and sidewalks, and it's just beautiful. And so I invited him to come out with me, and he wanted to come. So we got in the car, we drove over, and we walked Ernie for almost an hour. And then we came back, and it was almost time to take Sophia to work. So we got ready, and I did my coffee doodle in between. And then it was time to take Soph over to her job, did that, came back, podcast. And like, here we are. And I got a little chat in with my sister in between, which I love as well. So like this morning has felt perfect to me. Like that's a perfect start to my day. Does it get old? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't care. But today it felt great. 100% positive. So yeah. And yet I feel bad. I do. I can't help but to feel a little badly that, like I, again, don't want to hurt this person, but I also can't let this person hurt me. I don't know. And
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
but that's
want
the thing
that.
is, well, yeah, but you have to look at it from a point of view of like, are you trying to push this person away, or are you trying to do things in your life that are more beneficial
Yeah.
for everyone in your life? So if your life is more fun, then the few times that you see her, you will be more clear, more fun, and it won't, because the only reason you have to really maybe feel like push this person away is because it's triggering your own fear
Yeah.
of going to a negative place, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's exactly
activating
it.
it's activating some framework within you that also could have been, certainly, like we experienced this during the pandemic,
Yes.
that right that that
Yes.
that whatever negative frameworks we had, the potential for them to be activated was incredible,
Yeah.
because there was all kinds of negative stuff going on and we were isolated, so it was easy to spin and have, not get positive input.
Yeah. And a lot of people were putting, in effort to just connect with people in our isolated state, a lot of people put that out there, their fear, their concern, their negativity. A lot of people were putting it out there, just I think as an outreach, not necessarily because they're feeling negative, but it was a scary time, and a scary, a lot of unknowns. Uncertainty can bring a lot of fear, for a lot of folks. But I do think you're exactly right in that, being around that type of energy absolutely triggers in me a fear of what I don't want to take in. It's not the kind of energy I want to surround myself with, and it's not the kind of energy I want to put out there. But I did notice that probably a year into, doing these daily walks, I started to become very complainy. Like, I started really getting hung up in complaining about this and complaining about that. And Ken actually was like, what's going on? Like, this is, and it kind of jarred me. It was kind of like like, oh yeah, like I'm doing it. I'm aware, but I wasn't aware that I was doing it until somebody kind of said, hey, this is not you. This is not your normal way.
Yeah.
And then that awareness, like, now I'm afraid, I don't want to fall back into it. And I know these are strong words, fear and afraid, and you know but that's absolutely, there's a framework that I've been in that I don't want to go back into. And so
Yeah.
I kind of try to stay aware of it, I guess.
Well, you can let go of the fear and know that you carry that you can let go of it and know that you are the boss of your ecology now.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is all part of the recognition process of you being the boss of your personal, emotional, and spiritual ecology.
Which is so true. And I think sometimes without the mindfulness of, this is one thing I think amongst many that I appreciate about our weekly conversation. It's a reminder to kind of like recalibrate, because there's a week that goes by between our conversations. And in that week, a lot happens in a week, a lot happens in a day. And it's very easy to go in different directions. And yet this reminds me, like, this is where I want to be. Don't forget, it's sort of like the true north of your compass, right?
Yes.
It's a compass conversation.
Yeah, it is a compass. The thing is this is there are an infinite number of paths
Mm-hmm.
that can point us in this direction or in this dimension. I guess it's even limiting calling it a direction or a dimension.
Yeah, right.
But
Because
but
it's
it
more.
yeah, well, it's very personal, right?
Yeah.
It is connected to the nugget of who we are, the little nugget of nuclear energy that we are. and it is completely unique to us. But we know when we are on the right. There is a place of knowing where we know we are on the path to where this is, to this place of more freedom or connectedness or spiritual growth. We know when we're on the path. You know it.
Yeah.
I mean, that there, and the other day, uh, Terry, maybe we already talked about this last week, but my pal Terry, he works hard all the time. He's working all the time, but the business he chose, it's actually, he chose it after he retired from selling a big business, and he's been doing this yacht rigging company and managing the marina. He's been doing these things for years, and we've known each other well over probably 35 years. And maybe for the last 20, he's been doing this same thing, but he kind of gets wrapped up in doing the business, and finally just took off. And that's who I went sailing and cruising with. Well, he took off, and the business just, like, he came back, and whatever last bits of inventory were, like, he had some electric motors to sell. People called and only asked about the things that he had in inventory.
Wow.
Like, no out of stock items, like everything sold that he had left to sell. Like, people called up, picked it up. And I was just like, dude, you were in the zone. You were just
Yeah.
like your little business, you're in the zone, and you're in the zone because you took off and didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
You
That,
you like all the belief you put into knowing that this is a good business, or especially this is a new part of the business, which is selling electric outboards, and this is like a really nice brand of electric outboards, and everybody wants them.
oh, wow.
So it was just the stepping away from the worry or the concern of, like, I got to do this. I got so much to do. I have all these things happened on its own. It just, I mean, he came back, and it was like the perfect amount of business happened when he was gone. All the inventory that needed to be sold was sold, and he could put in a new order for new inventory, and nobody was unhappy because they couldn't get what they wanted. And it was,
Man. The video froze for just a second. So if I looked spaced out there for a minute, it took a minute and then it caught up.
no, you were fine.
Oh man, that's so cool though. And I feel like, in my own experience, like putting out there, this is what I want to do. This is the kind of work I really want to focus on and be doing more of. And then when this opportunity came through, it was like they were reading what I had written down. I mean, it was
Yes.
just, it still kind of blows my mind how in tune that felt and still feels. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I love when stuff like that happens,
Yeah.
it's, you couldn't have written it down more precisely, kind of, yeah,
Yeah. That's the zone. That's being in the zone.
it's good stuff. What,
So,
oh, you go ahead.
oh, well, I just thought, I just had a college friend, somebody I've known 40 years, but probably haven't seen in 40 years, other than just connecting in cyberspace and keeping track of where his kids are and but the we were the three amiga. There were three of us, three amigos in college, and we would go down to a tavern called Rico's Tavern for jazz night every Tuesday night and drink a giant can of Abbott Ale. I don't know if you
Nice.
remember Abbott
I
Ale, but
don't. I'm not like super well versed in.
yeah, maybe
Yeah,
Ken,
Ken would
but
know.
but but these are like barrels of beer,
Wow.
and and th- I really enjoyed these guys while I was in college. Really had a great time, and but we've only kind of peripherally kept in touch, and now Andy's back in Seattle, and he just like, hey, let's have some coffee, and he just made a point to get like he made a point to get together,
That's awesome.
and we just picked up. It was just like some picked up as if I had seen him last week or the week
Yeah.
before.
I love when that happens. I love, yeah, people in your life who you can, like, you never missed a beat.
No, and the thing is what I tried to what I tried to articulate is that who I met 40 years ago and who I oriented to and who I liked is still the same exact kernel of energy. That being is still there.
Yeah.
All the material things, but it's so whatever I oriented to back then, I was able to orient to now, and it just made it super easy. We just sat and talked about whatever, just
Yeah.
as if we had been vulnerable and talking about our lives for 40 years, like two old men sitting at the coffee house.
Yeah. I love that. I
And
appreciate that.
so that was really wonderful and important because those types of relationships are really precious, and we don't necessarily get more of them as we get older. We have to hang on, we have to create them. We have to work to create more relationships like that. Like
Yeah.
that chance moment of us meeting at college and really enjoying each other's time and our lives being so big and varied and dynamic, there's not a chance that we would have necessarily hung out or spent more time with each other. And there were lots of things going on: marriage, children,
Life.
jobs all over the planet. But here we are, and we were celebrating uh, the wealth and the joy and I'm talking about wealth in the sense that you were talking about
Abundance.
earlier,
It's
the
just,
luck,
yeah.
the credible luck that we have made it this far in our lives, when for me many of my dearest friends have died already. They've passed away. I've lost people who are um, who I aspire to have that quality of relationship with all the people I care about.
Yeah.
And so now to rekindle this, or to remember the importance of these types of relationships,
Well,
uh,
and
has been incredible. So,
I love that, like you said, the type of person that maybe you attracted all the way back then, they're still like, it still works today. I love that. But then
yeah,
also the element of expanding your circle today, because it's very easily to kind of stick in a safety zone, which is something we've talked about in the last few episodes, is where like the being open to let more people in a certain, in
be,
a certain way.
yes, because it's important to discover the core of someone and to love that unconditionally, because that brings energy back, right? That's the energy, that is the legitimate energy exchange
Yeah.
that's happening in our world, is people sharing love and attention and rooting for each other, enjoying each other, um, because that is what, that kind of passion, that kind of love, that kind of joy in each other is what creates great things, right? It's what bonds people into baseball teams, football teams, architectural teams, construction teams, uh, political negotiation teams. That kind of calm and that kind of deep purpose and understanding and bonding with somebody, that legitimate love for another human is what makes great things,
So
right? As
let's
teamwork.
let's poke at that a little bit, because that's something that, like, yes, I believe wholly, right? But at the same time, connecting with other people is a thing that, like, you can't connect with everybody necessarily, right? Like, some
No.
people you really connect with. So I want to go back to this person, right?
Well, I want to just put an asterisk that you can't
Yeah,
connect with every person, and then you should
yeah,
continue. I'll come back to that.
yeah. Because okay, so there's this person that I connected with. That I believe that this person and I, who I've been talking about for a lot of this episode, who has a tendency to go very negative, but at the core of this person is somebody that I really connect to on a lot of levels, right? Like, this person has shared a lot of her life story, which has been hard and difficult. She's overcome a lot, and we have a lot in common in, despite our age difference, we have a lot. We were brought up similarly, and we have a lot of similar belief systems, and there's so much in common. And there's a lot of, like, when I think of, like, okay, you find the core of someone and you love it unconditionally. So when I go, ooh, this person is kind of like overwhelming me with negativity, am I loving this person unconditionally? And have I given it enough time? This is where I kind of keep going back and forth with myself on, like, well, it's not necessarily my job. And if it's overshadowing my ability to put good energy out, that's where I struggle. Yet, is there another approach where you can get at that core, just like with children, right? When you are bringing up children, like, I've learned over time, it's better to reinforce the good behavior that you would like them to repeat rather than punish them for the negative, because sometimes they're just seeking attention. And so whatever
Yes.
you give them attention toward, they're going to do more of, right?
Yes, that's
And
love.
and that's love. And so, like, have I missed an opportunity with this person to reinforce the good somewhere along the way? Have I just kept my mouth shut? Have I not reinforced the good and wonderfulness that I see in this person? Because there's a lot there that gets overshadowed by this constant sort of shell. It's like an M&M, a hard candy shell of negativity. But inside there's this goodness, there's something wonderful there.
Well, everyone has that goodness
Yeah.
inside of them. And we can connect with everyone by being fully ourselves. We are connected and have the ability to connect with everyone and anyone if we are open and vulnerable. We have that ability. As a great Highway 99 Chapel of the Bells mystic named Elsie Green once told me, you can love them, but you don't have to like them.
That is how Zia knows this because I've told Zia this, but man, there have been times with my own child, with Zia, where I love her. I will always love her. But there have
Yeah.
been times when I did not like who she was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
I
like,
don't, well, the thing is I want to further make that distinction is you love who she is. You just didn't like her choices or what she was doing. Right. I mean,
I think
I'm
that's a
gonna
great
be, I'm gonna be
framing. Yeah,
presumptive about this, but
I think you're
I think
exactly right.
I think it's important because then you're not limiting, we're not limiting our children, but it's not that I love you, but I don't like what you're doing right now. I don't like this choice that you are making right now to be a little asshole
Mm-hmm.
or to do this particular behavior or to ignore what you've been ignoring or that you have lied to me. But know that this is a choice. You're making a choice and I don't like it. I
It
love
doesn't work
you.
for
I
me.
love you. I don't like it. And it makes me not want to do this with you.
Yeah.
And so the trick is to maintain the connection, the loving connection, but to show that person that what they're doing is making a choice. Now, with our children, we have license because it's our job.
Yeah.
It's not your job to change this person.
It's not.
And also, one of the false currencies that we use to bond with people is this story, right? When we tell each other stories and it's like, oh yeah,
I relate. Yeah.
I chopped off my left foot with a chainsaw too, right?
Right.
Right?
Wow, we have this in common. Sure.
Right. So we have this in common. So it's easier to be open and it's easier to feel empathy for someone. And so potentially it opens the door for love to see that person as that same innocent person that we were. But that person has made a completely different set of choices. And we are hoping maybe that they could see all the choices we made to get to our place of joy or fun or ease, minimally ease in
Yeah.
life. And one, you don't have license.
Yeah.
Two, two, that person hasn't asked you
Exactly.
for to commit and get this license
Yeah.
to help them.
Like it's
And
none of my
so,
business in a lot of ways.
while it is your business if you keep putting yourself stepping in the doggy dookie.
But that's on me, right? Like that's
That's
on me.
yeah,
I can control
absolutely.
my participation in it without necessarily
So the
interfering with their world.
yeah, so the false currency being exchanged is well, we both had these traumatic lives and the oh this is my mom calling for my
Oh,
birthday, but I'm going to give her a ring back.
all right.
And I
I
can
was I
tell
don't want
you
to
that
keep you too long.
no, well, I will tell you that my mom will share stories of what's happening at home and the the latest trauma in the neighborhood, and she will also implore me to check the mail because my mom still sends checks in the mail for birthdays.
Ken's mom too.
Yep,
That's so
she can't
sweet.
help it. I'm like, Mom, you could just have the bank transfer it.
Send me a
She's
digital
like, No,
gift
I like
card.
writing the check and writing.
Yeah,
No,
that's
and
so
I
cute.
appreciate all of that.
That's very cute.
Yeah. So, at any rate, we have these bonds that we create through people, and the currency is you share your trauma, I'll share my trauma, and people assume that's love, but it's only opening the door to rehearsing more trauma, right? It's only reinforce you're giving me attention for talking about my life trauma.
But also
Well,
good, not necessarily always bad, right? Like, I mean,
well, well, I don't think so anymore. My opinion anymore is that every time you talk about it, uh, unless you're just telling a story and you really are free from it,
right.
and you can laugh about it, or
Yeah.
that it's entertaining and that it is just a story.
Yeah.
But the danger in telling that story over and over is reinforcing a framework that says I was abused in my family, or I had a really hard time with social situations, or I had this, or we were super poor, or,
Hmm.
or there was a lot of fear in my family, or there was whatever. There's the the point is every minute that our mind spends on something is putting energy in a particular direction,
Right.
right? It is calling every minute that we are talking about something, thinking about something, discussing, entertaining an idea. It is broadcasting into the universe. And so, on the absolute most granular level, there is no point to sharing trauma
Yeah.
other than to understand that as quickly as possible, I want to create a thought pattern or a process in my life that takes me more towards kindness, joy, love, entertainment, creativity, things that bolster my 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 own joy.
Yeah. That perpetuate that growth.
So I would say that the only real currency we have is attention. And that attention, in its purest sense, is love. And so, who and what we give our attention to is resonating, is um, energizing whatever we're focused on with love, with energy. It's, in its purest sense, love is energy. It is an unconditional energy that bolsters whatever we focus on. And so, uh, if we have something mean or destructive and we give that attention, then it results in something that is mean or destructive,
Yeah.
even if we're feeling sympathy for something that's mean and destructive. We're just giving it energy. And the only reason to give it energy is to know that you want to get away from it. And then you even need to let go of that to get away from it. And then we need to focus on what would be more positive, what would I rather be doing, what are the
Yeah.
things where I what are things that I can give my love to that will have, in my short lifetime, that will have a reasonably beneficial result, even if it's just I feel more love for everything and every person around me. Because you can feel immense love for that person, but it doesn't need to be about bonding with their trauma.
Right.
It
Right.
can be, it can just be immense love at a distance,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to be around that person. And we can love everyone. The thing is the more we fill ourselves with love and give ourselves attention and focus on things that bring joy, the more we are resonating that to everyone, the more there is for your daughter, the more there is for your partner, the more there is for your business, the more there is for the people who have actually given you license to coach them,
Hmm.
right? It's like the, and are paying, like, are paying you to coach them,
Yeah.
right? So, and in your case, when you stand up in front, when you stand up in front of an audience, you're giving a lot of juice to a lot of people in a very unconditional way.
It's very
And
true.
and hopefully they are focused on what you're presenting, and for that moment that you're really leveraging. And for the three people that might be listening to this podcast, right? We're like all of a sudden two leverages to three, right? And then after a while, some of think of YouTubers who have an audiences of 1 million,
Yeah.
and we know this from YouTube. When people watch something, when they really love something on YouTube, they watch it, they get the
Yeah.
alert, every Wednesday, every Saturday, whatever it is, and they
Of
watch
course.
that show. And that person has incredible influence over their audience because in that moment, people are open and they're giving their love through the YouTube. They're giving their love through the YouTube to that person. And and in that case, it translates into dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so that's a very long, roundabout way, ultimately, of saying that love is attention in its highest form. Love is just attention. And love is what energizes and powers everything. So, where we turn that fire hose of love that we have in our lives, and if we're giving a person attention for constantly talking about their trauma without license or without the mandate to ask them to change their focus,
Yeah.
then we're just endorsing the trauma, the griping, the
Yeah.
grumpiness, we're giving it, we are giving it energy
Like
because
validity. Yeah, exactly.
because your love for her is predicated on hanging around a grumpy person.
Very much so.
So it's a delicate balance. It's like where do I want to spend, where do I want to spend my time and my energy, and where do I want to put this love,
Yeah.
right? Think about if that half hour were with one of your kids on something positive or an art project, right? Think about
Yeah.
like
Just walking little Ernie in the beautiful
walking
park.
walking earn. Yeah, I mean you made the right choice.
Yeah, definitely. And I have been doing that how many days now? 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days. 3 days now. And I've done it periodically, just to give myself a little space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. But yeah, I think the more that I do it, it is that making a practice of feeling my way through, right? Feeling my way through, like, yes, this feels good. I want more of that. This doesn't feel good. I don't want more of that. I want more of this. And then to keep, to
Well,
keep,
and the other thing that might be happening underneath is that as you let go of that person who is that you might be bonding with over uh, childhood, hard scrabble childhood, maybe,
sure.
right? That in essence you think you're letting go of something that belongs to you, right? You're letting go of
Right.
your own, right? Like this is no longer important, or this part of me isn't important anymore. And so there's a certain loss that might be associated with it, or this is an important part of my life that got me here. And maybe it is, and maybe it was, but you're here now. So it really is, it was.
Yep.
And it's not important unless you decide it is.
Exactly.
Do you want that part of your life to be important now? Because that part of your life that may have been hard scrabble is drawing other people in it who have not escaped their hard scrabble lives.
Yeah. Well,
In the
and oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, in the well, in the same way of being attached to stories of being of certain abuses that happen in my family, and then meeting people who have the same similar things. It's neat, there's a moment of recognition, but then I realize that, oh my gosh, this person still has a ton of latent anger related to that, and
Yeah.
I don't need to keep recapitulating that part of my life.
I think that is one of those I think there's a fascinating element to that. And going back to the phrase that we talked about, I think last week, the pilgrims, right? The other pilgrims, where often when you meet somebody who's on a similar trajectory, we'll call it, that you are on, you can acknowledge those things. You can acknowledge maybe it's trauma or just past experiences or whatever in a term of a head nod, right? But not in a place of dwelling. It's like I've been there too, and I've also moved on, or I'm learning to move on. And the people who you're really in frequency with have moved on as well. And sometimes, like I do feel like I've happened upon some people who have been like, yes, I worked through similar things, or like,
Yes.
and I don't mean to say that in a way like I'm always bringing up my past. I don't usually. Sometimes somebody else will bring something up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can relate to this experience in this way. And thankfully,
Yes.
I've come a long way since then, and I do find that those are more bonding than lingering in a place. And I think maybe that like really highlights a lot of where I struggle in this particular relationship, is that I'm used to being able to connect with someone and then grow, right? Like and like move forward. And there's a constant exchange of growth and evolution, as I feel with you in our conversations, as I feel with Ken in my conversations with him, that there's a constant, like, okay, but we're not going to get stuck in it, we're going to keep moving,
Mhm.
and not everybody's ready to move, I guess. And so for me, I feel a little disappointed, maybe, even though it doesn't matter what like, it doesn't matter. I know I need to keep moving at the pace that I'm moving in. And
Yes.
that's where I'm at. And so understanding where I'm at, and yeah, maybe it's just checking in once in a while to see if that person has moved on from stuck points, is an acceptable way. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
you might be surprised. It might be like going on vacation and coming back and finding all your electric motors have sold.
Right.
It that because the what you're not endorsing it anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no opportunity for her to, right?
Yeah.
There's somebody that she has to find another channel,
Yeah.
and so maybe something will change, but again, that's not your job. And the other
No,
thing is most people are not interested in moving.
that's so true too.
Most people are interested in comfort, and everything we are doing here, this spiritual journey, we can just call it that because that's what it is. um, this journey is is dangerous because it means that you have to leave frameworks, ideas about who we are, who we wanted to be, who we thought we were. You have to leave trauma behind.
Yeah.
Who
Which I
we.
so want to. I'm so excited by that idea of
Well,
leaving.
and you will know when you leave trauma behind, when the people you meet and people you bump into are more positive in general, are right. Like this having these people show up in our lives who feel like a giant Eeyore or such a burden. They just show us what we have been naturally attracted to, right? Because
Yeah.
it's easy. It's like easy to bond with that person.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on being able to find common ground with almost anyone.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
really enjoy that. I really enjoy finding a place where I can bond with someone. But what am I bonding? What is the currency that's being exchanged? Is it
Yeah.
talking about trauma, or is it talking about, oh yeah, I climbed that mountain, or we did this, or I did this road trip down the coast and I went fishing here, or I cycled there, and I love sailing. And those are the things that catalyze greater things.
That's I think so much. Okay, so I'm gonna go kind of to my new thing, my new project that I'll be working on, where my primary job is helping design career paths and training and development leadership paths for tech and design people at one specific company. And
Yeah.
and I'm very excited about this because that I feel plays into exactly where I want to put my time right now, right? It's about growth and evolution and about growing in about growing. It's about being open to change and wanting to change and wanting to pursue better and
Yeah.
helping others who are also, looking to change and to grow and to improve, um, to help them find pathways where they may not see them. That to me is what this whole role is all about. And I'm so excited to be focusing on that. It's
Hmm.
not about products anymore. I spent 20 years in the product trenches trying to make great products and making a lot of great products and stuff. And then I spent, as you know, like all that time kind of shifting that ability, designing my life as if it were a product and then sharing that experience. And eventually that rolled into coaching and helping others design their own paths as well, giving them, showing them where they have the tools and showing them where other tools may exist that they don't have access to. They do have access to, but didn't know that they had access to, and illuminating options and opportunities for folks who are
Yeah.
interested in growing. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited about it.
You've been given, people are giving you license. And
Yes.
that's where we want to spend our time, where there's actually an agreement upon the exchange and the direction of
Yeah.
the
Yep.
love that we are sharing, right? It's like that we are in agreement that this is
Yeah.
about moving forward, being positive, spiritual.
Yes.
I mean, the great thing about business is that it is a spiritual journey,
Yeah.
right? It is filled with emotional potholes and all kinds of challenges, but in the end, if we approach it in a really pure sense, it is
Yes.
a spiritual journey with all kinds of opportunities to face ourselves and to grow in positive ways.
Yes. That exactly. That exactly. And that's where, I don't know, I feel like that's where this path of this conversation, since we started in, I want to say late May or early June, whenever we started doing
Yeah.
these, I feel like this is the path that has unfolded as I've prioritized what I want more of in my life. And then
Yes.
bam, 3 months later, here we are, right? Like, and there it is, like for the taking. Design it and it will come. No, it's like the universe is
Yes.
listening always, and just absolutely abundant. And I think that if you're willing to look up and look all around, like, and see it, it's there.
Well, instead of looking backwards to something that doesn't exist
Yes.
anymore.
That I don't, I mean, I feel like I've been in that place for a long time, but I lose course occasionally. And that, again, going back to these weekly sort of conversations, remind me how
Yes.
important it is to stay on track in this direction. And, the direction is sort of open. It's not like north or whatever, but it's basically a direction of openness and letting go. And then, acceptance and expansion. So
Yeah. The direction is Jamie,
yeah, it
right?
is.
The direction is a more fuller, loving representation of Jamie,
Exactly that.
fully energized and realized version of of what is particular to you.
And what is possible, what am I capable of, and that curiosity to find out and push myself, in ways that I haven't before, new challenges. I'm delighted by, these things that are, occasionally like obstacles that I need to overcome. There are things that I need to figure out, and I am trying to along the way. And anyway, didn't mean to make it all about me, but in
Well,
general.
that's all this is. This is all about me and it's all about you. That's
Yeah.
all this is. And the hope is that other people jump on the bandwagon and see that it's all about them. And when we make it all about ourselves, by default, it is all about everyone. If we
It's
purely in the most positive with the if we bring the most positive intention to realizing our own capabilities, it is about everyone else
yeah.
because it improves our relationship with everyone and everything that we apply ourselves to.
Yeah, it truly does too. And I really am experiencing that. And I feel even more richly than ever before. Since we started these things, I feel like
Yeah.
it's raised the awareness levels, it's raised the challenge levels,
Yeah.
and really just yeah, I like the experience of everything feels more rich, more I feel it more deeply, if that makes sense, if that's, yeah, grammatically correct, I don't know.
I, I'm it just when you said that, and because you were so exuberant and your gestures were excellent. I'm thinking we could have a TikTok channel that's just devoted to these little momentary exuberant excerpts that we can pull out of all of our. It's just the you are the best
Yeah,
TikTok
it's
channel.
that, right? It's like the best.
The best. Um, I'm gonna ponder that.
Yeah, do, because I think that, and then we talked. I want to cycle back to our little. I have this always with me, the pocket guide to world domination thing. But we
Oh
talked about
yeah.
doing the little kits, and
Hmm.
I think we're gonna have to. Yeah, we got to
Do the kit.
finish. Yeah, so much to
Yeah.
do, but it's coming.
Hmm.
It's a coming. But yeah, yeah. Well, Stefan, I think this leaves us at a perfect place to let you go experience the rest of your 61st birthday.
Yes,
And
thank you very much. I am looking forward to it as usual. Tuesday nights. This is actually our last race of the summer duck dodge series sailboat races,
that's
and
awesome.
I have for my 61st birthday. I've entered myself in a rock climbing competition on on Friday, so I feel
That's
pretty good
amazing.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I
keep me
feel.
posted on how it goes.
Yeah, I will. Believe me, I'll let everybody know how it goes if it goes well.
Even if it doesn't. I mean, what does,
I'm telling
it's like,
I'm telling everyone. No, if it
yeah.
I have a feeling it will go just fine.
Yeah.
I've been I've the funny thing is the I'm climbing in the masters division, and I go, well, what does that mean? I go, oh, well, they're like it's 40 and above, and I'm like, really 40 and above? Like,
40
are the
master.
40-year-olds, 40 somethings feeling kind of weak, like they need to beat up on the 60-year-olds?
Yeah, because when I used to run, masters was always 60 and older. So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
or at least 50.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I had never heard of it being younger than 60 in my
I know.
days.
Apparently.
They were expanding the circles somehow.
It's like, it's like now a large t-shirt is now medium.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's my birthday week, and I'm pretty excited for it.
that's amazing. I hope you have
So
an incredible experience.
thanks, I will. It'll be
Yeah.
a good. It's the 35th anniversary of Vertical World in Seattle.
Woohoo.
This is an unsolicited plug, but I met the founders just bouldering, 35 or more years ago at the University of Washington. There's a little bouldering area, and now and this that so they Dan and Rich created this gym, and now, and it was the first gym of its kind, climbing gym of its kind in the world, and now it's 35 years old. So this is the 35th anniversary Summer Slam
That's amazing.
rock climbing competition. So it's a party and a little competition, and there'll be beer after the rock climbing.
No, that's super awesome.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, it's been another stellar start to our day, to our Tuesday here,
It has been. Thank
and
you.
I look forward to putting a bookmark. I mean, we'll put a bookmark in it here, and I look forward to pulling the bookmark out next Tuesday.
Likewise, Stefan. Take care.
Thank you. Cheers.
I'll see you.